just also wanted to talk about about the topic. So how to find your style as a beatboxer, my personal experience. So this was a huge struggle for me for a long time because when I started, it was always like copying a lot beatboxers I was a fan of, you know. So for example, back in the day, it was Korean FX, Kim, these guys, you know. So for a long time, my when I was beatboxing, it was only for copying others, basically. And it took a long time before I had the courage, basically, to try to find my style and try to not of course, be inspired by someone, but also trying to really create something that is myself. And maybe it took for me 4 years, 5 years before I start to do this, which is a pretty long time. But yeah, I always had struggle with this. But once I started, I realized it was not so difficult. It was just like a step to pass, basically. But it was hard for me for some reason. So yeah. Okay. Quick summary. So I will start with the introductions. Generally, about the topic, general introduction. Talk about the fundamentals, of course, basics. Like I like this. How to find your voice, like more in terms of because we all are different in this room. We have different body anatomy, etc. So we all can do different things, for sure. How to add creative elements to your beatbox, basically to make it more interesting with your own taste, flavors, of course. Create engaging performances. You can also be original on stage, not only with your beatbox. So this can be interesting. Conclusion and at the end Q&A. Of course, if you have some questions at any time, don't hesitate. Okay. So yeah, the introduction. So I want to talk about the importance of standing out as a beatboxer. It really depends what are your goals, of course. But in the battle scene, it's something that is super important if you want to, if you have big goals, basically. So me at the beginning, I knew I wanted to be a champion from the start. But like I said, I was only copying others for 5 years. So it was a really long process for me. But I realized with the time, like the little things like this, like you need to be original for sure, because this is how you stand out as a beatboxer. This is how you have like your fingerprint in the community. And it's interesting that we all have different fingerprints. It's not that obvious, like you just don't do this and I'm already different from everyone else. Because now we found a lot of stuff already in terms of creativity, and I think it becomes maybe harder and harder to really be more original and stand out nowadays than before. If we take the example of the French champs 2006, already everyone sounded different at that time, because also the community was not the same as it is right now, and the evolution is also different. So it's interesting to see that it becomes a little more hard. It's still possible for sure, and still beatboxers every year I think stand out. For me, Ozis is a good example. I think he has a really nice textures and yeah. Okay. When you stand out as a beatboxer, you get recognized for what you do also. So this is really interesting. I mean, it's really rewarding when you perform something and people really when they hear it, they already know this is you because of your textures, the type of sounds you use, this type of things basically. So it's a super rewarding process to have recognition. I don't know how to say this word. Okay, recognizability. Okay, it's really hard. And yeah, for a lot of people, this is like kind of the ultimate goal. It was for me too. Of course, you don't need. Not everyone needs this. Like I said, this is depends of your goals. If you are in a cappella band, maybe you don't need to stand out as a beatboxer because it's really different job basically. Yeah. So for me, it was the ultimate goal, and for me also it was like the hardest thing to achieve personally. Aside from making money with it, of course, but this is something I really struggle, like I said, and I'm really happy I managed to do this. It's really, really rewarding. Okay, like I said, beatbox evolved a lot. Lately, it's exponential, the evolution, in terms of like everywhere, every year there is new sounds, new styles, and when you drop some new things, people will be hyping you a lot, and a few months after, it's really almost already forgot, and already have to bring something new. So it's always hard to come up with new things, and once you reach this top level of, like if I take the example of Den, you know, like last year BBU, for me it was, wow, crazy, this is the top of what he can do. And now when I listen to him, it's of course as good, but it doesn't have the same impact anymore, because I need to hear something more, even more. I don't know how to explain, but it's this type of expectation I feel like that a lot of people have when it comes to in the community, basically. Of course, if you are outside, this is different topic. And you can see we have the highs of beatboxers. So also it's for us it's interesting to always hear new textures, new patterns, new kind of structures. The way you surprise with your beats, this kind of stuff is always for us something we're expecting all the time. But if you have the eyes of course, someone outside, they don't have this problem. So yeah, more competition, of course, every year. It's harder, like I said. So yeah, becomes harder, basically. Okay, so how to find your style as a beatboxer? I mean, here a lot of people found their style, I think. So it will be interesting. Okay, first, importance of basics. Well, you know this. But for me, it's always has been the core of my style, I would say. It's like having the strongest basics I could have to really build something on top that with the strong foundations, basically. Because if you have the weak foundations and you try to build on top of this, it's already like it's gonna fall, basically, and you won't be able to produce quality beats. If you have like really crazy effects but no basics, it will sound really weird. And when I talk about this, it's like having good basics is also know how to manage it in your mix, in your beatbox. It means like you can have some routines where your basics are quiet, but this is made on purpose, for example, because it fits the kind of beat you want to do. And you can have basics that are super strong, loud, because you know that this is has more impact for this moment. So when you have like when you are able to master your basics at that level, you are able to create intensity, basically, between different parts inside your beats, inside your structure. So for example, in the intro, really quiet basics. Then the build-up, you can increase the volume, and when the drop is here, you can put full power and still maintaining the same quality of sounds and texture. So yeah, so important to have good basics. Also, for me, like tempo is a basics, is part of the basics. Something that we don't really necessarily think about. Many people, they only think that basics are sounds, but for me, tempo is part of this, because if you have really good basics in terms of sounds, but you can't really keep the tempo, it really will put people outside of what you are doing. It's like it's gonna get messy. It's like it's gonna be clean, but then it's gonna get messy because you can't keep up with the tempo. And when I mean tempo, it's like know basically what is reggaeton, drum and bass, and all the music styles, and also how to switch between them, basically, because there is some like logical things you can do in terms of BPM. So footbox like drum and bass, halftime. This is kind of the what I mean when I talk about tempo, and of course then keeping up. So the 4/4. Yeah, exactly. And also like keeping just the tempo. If you are doing a 7, you must keep the 7, and you must find like a logical solution to come back to a 4 if you want to do that, for example, you know. So yeah, this is what I mean when I'm talking about tempo. Then I wanted to talk about some original guys for me that have originality only using basics, but for different reasons. So the first two, Ballsy and BMG, so I put sounds and textures for, let's start with Ballsy. Because if you listen to Ballsy, just when he do, it's already different from everyone else. Like you already know, like, oh, Ballsy, okay. Just because of his drum kit, he's already original, and that's so crazy, I think. Like the first three sounds, he already is original, and this is so hard to do for me. Like another example could be Helium with his really clean case snare, or Darny even, that could work. And it's the same for BMG, but a little bit the opposite, because Ballsy for me is like one of the cleanest beatboxers, and BMG in terms of basics, I don't think his basics are that clean, but this is not necessarily a bad thing, because it makes his character, basically. It gives character to his beatbox. Not everyone needs to be clean, basically. It's like interesting that some people have dirty beatbox, some people have really clean beatbox. It makes like, yeah, just a lot of variety within the same reach of sounds, and I think it's really beautiful, I would say, to have people that are really clean and can do really crazy patterns, and you can hear every little details, and other that have maybe some more dirty sounds, but this links together because the dirtiness allows each sound to connect thanks to the dirtiness, basically, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's super interesting for me to see this. Also, maybe I talk about this after, or no? Yeah, now. So also, I took the Ballsy example, but we can imagine that a beatboxer that is outside of the community, maybe his basics, the first sounds he learned would be this kick, which is not usual maybe for a first kick, this hi-hat, and this snare. And this would be his kit to work with his foundations, basically. Maybe just because of this, he sounds already original from everyone else, because all the patterns he created already are based on those three sounds, and it makes it sound interesting already. Like if he does a freestyle, it will be already different from everyone else. So yeah, just saying that you can be really original only with basics. The second point in this one is patterns and breaks. So I took LM and Footbox G, for example, because I think they really explored crazy patterns and breaks using simple sounds, which is super hard to do in my opinion. For example, Alem, he goes always really fast, not always, but always have a lot of fillers that are really complex, involving not that much sounds in the end, but it's super, it made his style basically, because he was the first one of the first doing this so much, like spamming it, and this is how he got recognized and how his style was defined basically. So I think it's interesting to see that when you explore like with basics, when you explore like specific, how to say, when you put the focus on a specific category like patterns and breaks and fillers, you can already be original. Maybe you can even be more complex than Alem in some ways. And Footbox G, I think it's a bit more intricate what he does. There is much less spamming of breaks and fillers, but the way he put it inside the beats for me is really interesting and is different from everyone else. So it really creates intricate flows that are really interesting to listen to, and sometimes it sounds a bit unexpected. And this is what, in my mind, this is what defines a lot Footbox when I listen to him. It's yeah, this type of because I know he took a lot of time to think about this pattern, because you don't think about this while naturally like this, you know. So it can come to also the music styles he listens to. That's possible because it's a lot of intricate flows, I believe. So yeah, really interesting. And then originality with basics, the last one, I would say it's the tempo. So some beatboxers, maybe you noticed, they only do 1 BPM, and that's it, they stick to it. So I took the example of Kohi, the first one. So I think he's known for this now, but just he wants to be the fastest on stage, and he always does super fast tempo beats. And I believe this is what got him more known, because this is kind of, how to say that, a skill when you have a tree. You know, in video games, he developed the full category of speed, you know what I mean? Only one category. Yeah, exactly. This is the style of Koi for me. So it's funny to see that if you pick like a specific BPM and stick to it, you can already have your style. It's interesting. And the other one, Shogo, but it was more back in the days, in my opinion, because now his style evolved more. But I remember in 2016, 17, he was only doing really slow beats, super dark vibe and atmospheric, and not that much sounds, but super slow. And I remember, I think this is how I defined him as a beatboxer back in the days, as someone who's only doing like dark stuff and also atmospheric and slow tempo, like taking the time to create atmosphere and playing a lot with the silences. So yeah, no questions.
I go by the name of No Limits. Damn.